So, as we know, this whole fraudulent corporate nightmare is global. So we want to hear from our American and Irish brothers and sisters. So you may have seen Field yesterday. He was working his way. He's always got at least 6 people around him. So I haven't had a chance to actually speak to him. I've been trying to grab him the whole time. But this guy was a pilot, is a pilot. He knows what is and what is not possible, which is what led him to totally destroy the omission report. So he's going to give us an update on the USA and tell us what's going on there. And he's not just going to cover that. I think he's going to cover a whole series of issues. He's the Global Operations Director of Able Danger, global private intel agency. He's a general, all-round good guy, and his knowledge is just incredible. So let's bring on Field.
3 things. First of all, I'm not a pilot. I used to be, and I quit because it's unsafe. It doesn't have to be unsafe, but that's the way it is. Second of all, I want to thank the previous speaker for saying something about field day, because every day is a field day for me. And thirdly, somebody wanted to thank the gentleman that put this program on. I'd like to thank the ladies who did all the work for the gentleman who put this program on. I'm very much encouraged by several people making spiritual references, and many of us in this room like that, some of us don't, and then there's a third group that may be confused. But I don't want to, nothing I'm going to do is about me or myself. Before I came here, I got a 1-page letter from someone who knew I was coming, and he said, "I know in my younger life when I was called to speak, I trembled and became anxious the closer the due date approached to a point of passing out while walking up to the podium." Actually, I don't get nervous at all because I just speak what's on my mind, that's what's prepared. But he sent me a prayer, and I just want to read his prayer. It's not my words. And then it happened. God said as plainly in my mind as I can remember, "This is not about you, and you are not doing this for yourself. You are doing this for me." And then the gentleman who sent me this prayed, and he said, "God, forgive me, for I am so weak. Please use me to deliver your words as you will. Prepare the listeners," that's you, "prepare the listeners to hear your words and impact them to your glory. I am the vessel. Give me strength to not faint so that I may deliver your words, honoring you. Thank you, God, for being my salvation. In Jesus' name, amen." Now, those are not my words. Those are the words of a man who I have a very special relationship with, because over here is a man who's going to get a whole lot of money, $250 million or more. He's asked me to go out and buy a ranch in Texas to serve veterans, not just veterans of the U.S., but veterans of all nations, our allies and our enemies. And over here is a guy who has the ranch that I found, and he's taken his ranch off the market awaiting this guy's money. And we want to do something positive in the world for a group that's been overlooked by every country. They're veterans. So enough of... And to a larger degree, the survivors of those veterans. My voice is going to break, maybe, I hope not, but my heart is broken by how we treat these people that the bankers send to war. We need to stop that. This is a collage that is Telford friendly. There's whatever that thing is in Telford. There's a bed and breakfast from Telford. There's a character there, and I'm not going to look at it, but you can have at it. My life started in 49, but I'm going to start this impromptu speech with no notes in 1967 when I graduated from a school it is special, but I'm not, but the school is very special to where we are in the world today. I graduated from Punahou School in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1967. I was registered as Field McConnell, USA, Protestant. And I wasn't Protestant. I didn't know anything about anything, but they put that on my registration. Another name, how many in this room have heard the name Obama? Yeah, well, when he went to my high school, he was registered as Barry Swatero, Indonesian Muslim. And somewhere, I haven't changed, but he has. And something that's even more significant and puts me in this unique place that I'm in today, and I did not put myself in this unique place, and I'll leave it at that, but my sister, my only sibling, gave Barry Swatero his U.S. passport in 1994, and her name is Christine McConnell. It was Christine McConnell until she got married about 700 years ago, and now it's Christine Marcy. This is the group I work with, Able Danger, and what we do is we're a global group of citizens all working for free and all trying to improve the lots of others, not only ourselves, but more importantly, others. And we're involved in lots of things that the intelligence community should be doing, but they can't because they're owned by the banks, and the intelligence agencies around the world have to toe the line. It's amazing how much information I get from the intelligence agencies, from people in big corporations that are evil, and they send it to us because they know we can put it out with no threat to them. Okay, I got out of high school, then I went to the Naval Academy, and Daisy, be really good and lethal. When I'm out of time, I'm out of time. I went to the Naval Academy at Annapolis. Whoop-de-doo, that means nothing, but it prepared me for the next step, which was I was in the Marine Corps as an aviator. Whoop-de-doo, that means nothing, but that prepared me for the next step. When I realized I was not going to set the world on fire, and I don't mean with weapons, I mean with promotions. But I decided maybe there's a better option, and I got recruited into the North Dakota Air National Guard because I could drink more beer than their guys could, and they thought, and they've regretted that ever since. But anyway, that prepared me for my real mission in life, because when I flew for the North Dakota Air National Guard, I was an interceptor pilot, and if you're not familiar with that, although you should be, because your interceptors, the Typhoons, just chased a bear out of the neighborhood. But I was an interceptor pilot, and I was trained to look at something, get one look, and get a feel for what they're doing, and if necessary, ruin their day. And I did that for 16 years, rather than them ruin mine. I did that for 16 years, and I really enjoyed it. It was easy for me. It was like riding a bicycle, but it taught me to observe things and take care of business. Now we're going to go up to the morning of 9/11/2001. Everyone in here knows what they think they saw. On the day of 9/11, I saw it differently than you, and I'll be real specific, and I'll try to talk as quickly as I can because we're short of time. But when you saw the second airplane flying into the second building, I'm going to make this the building. You saw an airplane making a shallow left-hand turn, sweeping on a constant correction. And it wasn't doing any of this. It was a constant turn, and it flew into the building. And then everybody said, wow, that was amazing. Something just flew into the building. Well, first thing, I observed with my eyeballs that they were going about 350 knots. The significance is the speed limit's 250. So I knew right away that these were not U.S.-based or British-based or German-based or French-based. They were not pilots trained by a Western country, because most pilots, there's exceptions, most of them follow the rules. And another thing, the airplane wasn't making little check turns. It went directly into the building. That told me it was technology flying the airplane. And I knew that on 9/11. Another thing, it's not about being smart or wanting to do this. It's my pleasure to be here, but I do not want to be in the position I'm in. But I didn't put me in this position. But the other thing I saw on the morning of 9/11 was in a media report on that day that said the Fargo Air National Guard scrambled 3 F-16s off of Langley Air Force Base to go to D.C. First of all, that's what I did for 16 years. There's never been a case of scrambling 3 airplanes. There's 3 airplanes on the ground. There's only 2 pilots. The third airplane, what's it for? Mechanical. If one of the first 2 airplanes doesn't work, that pilot gets in the third airplane. The only way you can get 3 airplanes up in a scramble is if they know it's coming and they staff for it. And so I had a little question about what's going on here. The answer to the question is it was an exercise, and they had a third pilot nearby. So when the airplanes let me back up. When the flying vehicles hit the towers in New York, they scrambled the F-16s off Langley, and they started scrambling other fighter assets. And the F-16s from Langley, and just to demonstrate I have a little fluency, they were flown by Brad Derrig, Craig Borgstrom, and Dean Ekman. They took off, as they should, and they were told to head north and go Buster. That means as fast as possible, which is supersonic. And then when they got handed off to departure control, from departure control to the center, which is Washington Center, some entity, and it would be the United States Senior Executive Service. Has anyone in here heard of the United States Senior Executive? Well, that's pretty good. 2 out of a crowd. I was expecting 0. That's the shadow government. And here's something that no one else in this room could say. My sister started the shadow government. Okay, so what do we have so far? My sister created Obama in 94. She created the shadow government in 79 at the behest of Jimmy Carter, who is one of our presidents I question, just like every single other president that I question. On 9/11, the senior executive service took those 3 F-16s and turned them east. Now, that's the problem with having young guys in the military with no adult leadership. If there'd been a 40-year-old or a 45-year-old in that flight, he would have said, pardon this, ladies, he would have said, BS, we're going north. And then if they said, no, turn east, he'd say, stay off the frequency, we're going north. Because these guys knew the threat was due north. The threat's not over here, but yet, and I'm not criticizing them, they were young. They followed their directions. I was just following orders. And so they followed the orders, and while they were following orders, the flying vehicle, and I said flying vehicle, I didn't say American 77, let's stop right there. The guy flying American 77 was my own college classmate, Chick Burlingame. Big deal. Once again, I can't control this, but I am in the position I'm in. So what we have on 9/11 is we got my sister's senior executive service as the shadow government attacking America. We got my Air National Guard unit fellow pilots being taken off course when they should be protecting America. And there's one, then Chick Burlingame, my college classmate. So I couldn't arrange that. None of you could arrange that, but it was arranged for me by somebody, and you can decide who. Many of you in here know who. So after 9/11, I started thinking about what had happened, and for the next 5 years, I was flying for Northwest Airlines this whole time, from 78 until 2007. And as I was flying around or riding my lawnmower, driving my car, I'm not fixated on it, but I spent a lot of time thinking about this, trying to figure it out. And then I met a gentleman named David Hawkins on the 6th of December of 2006. I didn't meet him this way. I met him this way on a phone. And 5 days later, because we trusted each other and we were confident in the judgment of each other, and we both brought different skills to the table, based on what we collectively exchanged in 5 days, I sent a very precise letter to the United States government, 4 branches, the FAA, the FBI, the NTSB, and a Navy office. And then I also sent it to my employer, Northwest Airlines, and the pilot union. And what I said was, I can't wear this jacket anymore, and I can't fly a Boeing 747-400 because I found out that there's illegal modifications. And the illegal modifications, there's 2 that are pivotal. The BUAP, Boeing Uninterruptible Autopilot, part of that mechanism is the ATI, Air Tranquilizing Injector. Okay, the first part takes remote control of the airliner, and if I want to go this way, they can take me that way. Now, that doesn't bother me. I have a pretty big sense of humor, but I'm responsible for 3 or 4, there's 300 or 400 people on the airplane that don't think my humor is that humorous. So I just told them, I said, I'm not going to fly the airplane until Boeing puts in writing which day they took the Boeing uninterruptible autopilots out of our 16 747s. And as you can imagine, these types of exchanges accelerate quickly. Quickly, I got a series of 4 letters from Northwest Airlines, which basically said, shut up, shut up, shut up, go see a doctor. And I did, I'm not making this up. Anyway, between the 3rd shut up and go see a doctor, I got 3 unsolicited phone calls. I'm going to pick on you and that lady and him. These 3 people didn't know they're all calling me, but they're all from other airlines. And they said, Field, do you know what the game is? And I said, no, but the game's about ready to start, so educate me. And the first person said, what they're going to do, they're going to send you to a doctor. He's going to give you a physical. And if he doesn't find anything wrong, he's going to play with your head and ask you if there's anything between your ears. And I said, good. And then the second guy called, said the same thing. I said, good. The third guy called. I said the same thing. Good. Okay. And then I got these 3 letters from Northwest, and the 4th one saying, you didn't go to your shrink visit, because I took the physical and I passed it, which is a surprise then and it's a surprise now. But the doctor, I'm going to make you the doctor since you're close to me, but the doctor said, Field, you're perfectly healthy. And I said, why didn't you ask me when I walked in? I've been that way for 58 years. He said, yeah, but there must be something wrong here. And I said, why do you say that? He says, because you were referred to me. I said, would you trust the guys that refer patients to you when there's nothing wrong with them? He said, I just don't know, but there must be something you're fixated on or obsessed with. Are you absolutely sure you can concentrate on flying? I said, well, you just signed my medical, so I'm legal to fly now. we're getting rid of our DC-10s. Let's go out and take a little lap around the pattern, and you can get 2 instructors to try to overwhelm me. And when you see that they can't do it, and that sounds boastful, I just don't mean it that way, but they wouldn't have been able to. I said, then you can see that I'm not fixated. And he said, well, we really can't do that. And I said, well, that's okay. I made the offer. If you don't want to do it, fine. So the 3 letters, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. The 4th one was, Field, you passed your physical, but you missed your psychiatric exam. The absolute truth is they'd never scheduled me for one, and I don't know today if that was intentional or if they just slipped. But either way, they're still wrong. I'd never been scheduled for one. So they sent me this 4th letter, and it said, since you missed the appointment on the 1st and 2nd of March of 2007, we've arranged another visit, and if you don't go to the shrink this time, we're going to terminate you. Oh boy, am I scared. I'd already maxed out my retirement. Working another day wouldn't make my retirement go up, and they're trying to play mind games with somebody that is in a position of being able to beat them that way and every other way because I'm truthful. So I picked up the phone and I called the chief pilot's office in Minneapolis, and I said, is there a chief pilot in? And the lady said, yes, there's 3. There's 3 chief pilots, only one of them's in. Fortunately for me, I got the good one, and I asked him, I'm trying to speed this up for you, Brian and Mike. I said, this is Field, and you guys are doing something with me. Would you do me a favor? Well, what is it? I said, would you get me retired today? And the guy, and he knew me very well, and he said, well, you know, it takes 6 weeks to retire. I said, not this time it doesn't. I said, I'm retiring today, or you're not going to like it tomorrow. And that's not a threat. It's just tomorrow I'm going to put out some more information, and if I'm still a Northwest pilot, you're going to get egg on your face, so get rid of me. The answer is I got retired that day, and I was the first pilot in 28 years to get retired before you put in your paperwork. Enough about that. And I was done for, I dressed up like this. Frankly, there's a lady over there with blonde hair, and there's about 10 more in our chat room that said, why don't you wear your uniform? And even that's funny because she was talking about a Marine Corps uniform, and I don't know what the other ladies were, but on my website there's a picture from the old days, and this is what I wear. So in the interest of branding, here I am. So anyway, I told the airline industry to buzz off because their airplanes were unsafe, and they're equally unsafe today, and that's a sad comment. And then I was happily retired. My phone rings, and I answer it, Field McConnell, and a lady she was a Polish lady in Dublin, said, is this Field McConnell? And I said, yes. Are you retired? Yes. Are you really retired? And I said, yes, I'm really retired. Would you like to go to Kazakhstan and fly Airbuses? So I put my hand over the phone. I said to someone, where's Kazakhstan? They pointed at a globe. It's always been my dream to go to Kazakhstan and fly Airbuses. But now, think about, I didn't control this, but think about this. I played hardball with the Department of Justice. That's who wanted me to shut up, the United States Department of Justice, and as you can see, I'm not shutting up. But when they wanted me to shut up, God or some other power sent me a messenger and said, instead of flying Boeing airplanes in the U.S., what about flying Airbus airplanes with Muslims? Think about the power of that, because a lot of you people think that Muslims attacked America on 9/11. No, they did not. The Muslims were patsies. I'm going to say something scriptural now. The 5th commandment is honor thy mother and father. The 9th commandment is do not bear false witness. It doesn't say do not bear false witness unless they're Muslims. I flew with Muslims. I had a Pakistani Muslim with a razor to my throat because he was doing this. I'm not afraid of Muslims. I'm afraid of my own government. And guess what? They're more afraid of me. And that's just the way it should be. I'm going to finish this up talking about Malaysia 370 and Malaysia 17, but back to this picture, I'm going to show you 2 big problems in your country, and I think you're probably aware of it. HSBC and Circle. Okay, in 1991, a guy about my age was going to talk about Circle, but he didn't call it Circle. He called it the octopus. And he was talking about the octopus right up until he was found in a bathtub with his wrist slit. And he didn't slice his wrists. Someone else did because he was talking about Circle. Well, here I am. Here's my wrist. Come and get it. Now, HSBC. I'd like to, first of all, I'm a nice guy, so I'd like to wish him a happy 150th birthday. But since 1865, HSBC has been involved in drug hauling. Yep. They're not fooling anybody. And my sister, gee, that name's come up 3 times now. My sister, as a Department of Justice official, took a $1.9 billion bribe from HSBC to let him walk. Well, my sister and I don't get along, so I'd like to see HSBC go down. And you know what? The truth and the energy that I felt in this room for the last day and a half, I think the cabal canoe, it's really close to going over. And if we just push a little bit harder and we don't infight, and I don't try to take credit for him and you don't try to outdo me, we're all on different vectors, but if we just put the gas pedal down on the vector we're on, our collective power will overwhelm them and the canoe will go down. And I think it's going down this year, and I didn't think it was going down that quick till I got here to Telford, but I've had very many positive and encouraging comments, and I'm about out of time. So my 4 targets, if I could make the world better globally, my first 4 targets would be HSBC, Serco, Barack Obama, and my sister, Christine. And I don't know anything about your, whatever you guys call it, the parliament. I'm not being dismissive. I just don't know anything about it. But I do know our Congress and Senate is totally useless. But I have a very simple plan for making them better overnight. What you do is you take Obama, and you take my sister, and you take a man named John McCain, and you take a lady named Dianne Feinstein, and you put them all in handcuffs. And then you go to the Congress and Senate the next day and said, we have abundant room for the other 535 of you. How many would like to step down from your job with no retirement and go away? Or how many of you would like to be next? And these guys are all cowards, and we know that because they don't do what's right. And this is in your country, too. And I'll get around to Cameron if I have time, because he's a weasel. Am I up? I'm done. Thank you.
Can I just say, Field asked me to throw a shoe at him. That was the most pathetic shoe throw ever. But how can I shoe you? Right. So next up, thank you so much, Field. That was really great. You're so funny, and I'm definitely going to catch you at lunch. No one talk to him. I want to talk to him.